once you actually look like how an attacker actually targets you, actually infiltrates you, how they pivot in the system, how they're patient. Because it is not like the movies. Somebody does not hack into your computer in 30 minutes or less. The theory, I mean, the practicality of just patiently waiting over and over and trying, like stealing passwords, patch the hash, which tools are working best. Until you understand that, until you do it, you fully don't understand it.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Simply Offensive. Today I'm excited to be joined by my good friend Chris Marks. Chris is a former student, good friend of mine, and also a member of the Dallas-Fort Worth Cybersecurity Community. We've known each other for quite a while. I guess we probably met about 2015 or so because you started to come out to some of the local meetups, and it was at North Texas. Oh, it was actually at Dallas Hackers
Dallas
Association
hackers.
where I first met
Dallas
you.
hackers.
Because I met you and Brian McInich about the same time, because Brian used to run North Texas Cybersecurity Group, was
Yes.
there. The first time I saw you guys, you were both there at the same night.
Yeah, you was actually in a cast. Your
Yep,
elbow, remember? That's how I
yep,
remember it. Like I thought about that the
yep.
other day.
It's from that
So
ruptured tricep tendon because I was bench pressing and ripped the tricep tendon, ripped the end of my elbow off.
yeah,
So yeah, it's crazy how time's flown, and been really exciting to watch you progress over your career. I mean, you've come a long ways, and that's great to see.
man, it's crazy. So when you reached, when we talked about doing this episode, I thought about everything, our origins and whatnot. A little bit about me, and then I get into the origins of me and Phil. Originally from Lafayette, Louisiana, of course. So I spent 29 years there. I was at UL Lafayette going to school and actually deciding what I wanted to do with my life. I was working as a network technician. I picked up a CCNA book to study up, thinking about maybe getting my first cert with CCNA. Thought about being IP address, but I always wanted to do cybersecurity. Never knew how, didn't know how to get involved. I watched the movie Hackers like most of us and was like, okay, that seems cool. That seems cool, but how do I get to it? My final year at UL? I go in and I get into this group, this Tiger Trap group, who was actually it was done by the head security guy at UL or Lafayette. I really wish I would have known or I would have looked for that when I first started school, because I'd have tried to, work part time there, full time, whatever, just to get involved. Because the name of the game now is experience. Even entry level, they want you to have all this crazy experience. The meetup group, we started learning more about cybersecurity, offensive, GRC work, going into Blue Cross Blue Shield, talking to the FBI, things of that nature. Get a job, move to Dallas. I'm a network engineer with a telecom company. I got laid off, so I was like, let me just start looking at actual certifications since I have time on my hands. I got six certifications, IT, from A plus, Network plus, Windows 7 back in the day, Microsoft Security. So I got a job as another engineering position. Then I transitioned to security. That was pretty cool. I was a security engineer, then I was security analyst slash architect, lead analyst, now management. Well, management. So I'm in management now. The thing about offensive security, which going where I actually met you at in Richardson, Texas, on that second story of that bar, going and listening to everybody talk about security, but Dallas Hackers, I will always have a special place for Dallas Hackers because it's not just offensive security. You had fire chats with talking about vulnerabilities, and then it encouraged everybody to speak up. Hey, no matter what chat you wanted to give, if it was something security related, go ahead. Now, there's always one or two jerks that come in and think they know everything. But for the most part, I'm talking about like in a room full of 50, 60 people who range from architects to pen testers and management. I've seen some managers show up in there. Everybody was always positive. So I finally was able to when I worked at Nation Star Mortgage, I did the first phishing email campaign. I was using Metasploit Pro. I found it. Nobody knew we had this tool. Yeah, I guess that's asset management. Nobody knew we had this tool. I found this tool, started looking at it, and I asked my manager, like, latest tool. Can we? I was like, we should do a phishing email campaign. And my manager, I was talking with security operations over too, and they were like, yeah, we should do one. And my manager said, you do it. I was like, okay. So for like 6 weeks, I developed a program, built the program out, knew our defenses, because I knew our defenses, but it was also about how trying to sneak in and get the most exposure because I wanted the C-suite. I'll be honest with you. Um, I did the email campaign and I knew everybody hated the coffee that we had at the office. So that's a little reconnaissance. And I drafted the email to say, hey, you need to log in, use your credentials, email, password to vote on new coffee flavors. Man, it hit like, like nothing, bro. I had so much so on that day, actually the day I launched it, because I launched it at 5 o'clock in the morning, they actually had a C-suite meeting. And all of a sudden, people started freaking out. And they were like, did I get owned? Did I get pinged? But on the landing page, on the third page, it clearly says, this is an exercise for information security. You can email us. About two or three people email us, but the rest freaked out. And so the C-suites freaked out, and they were like, oh, is this y'all? Is y'all? My manager, I had a great manager. I had a great manager. He said, don't worry, I got this. So he went in and he talked to the acting CISO over it. Like this is something done by us. We noticed our people not reporting phishing emails. This, and they explain that hey, the phishing emails what they can lead to. And so what happens is it actually sparked. I mean, it had to spark. I mean, we usually get two, maybe three people sending in emails, phishing emails, maybe every 2 weeks. Man, it shot up to like 20, 25, 30. Anytime people, and then we had our yearly compliance. And so when people would come in and they'd be like, is this y'all? Is this a phishing email campaign? They would literally instant message me on chat. That first offensive campaign that I did, just through phishing emails, helped us on the defensive side because I'm mostly a defensive person dealing with vulnerability management, incident response, help improve the way people respond, not only just to the technical aspect of it, but having that working relationship where people weren't scared of security or was a because that's something that goes in the mind. Me and you, we work in the security field, we know this, but the person who works in marketing, the person that works in customer service, they're scared to if they might get dinged or written up because they clicked the link that they wasn't supposed to click. So having that relationship, hey, like, look, you're not gonna get in trouble, but I need to know what you do so I can fix it. Helped a lot. And that was just my first, like I said, my first offensive encounter. Now taking your courses, first the network port at Dallas Community College, and then the application, that helped me a lot. Always now I have what's called a purple team thought process. Um, going in and looking at vulnerabilities and how they could be exploited by, using different tools, evicting, sneak, Nexpost, white hat from the application standpoint, and vulnerability tools, Tenable, all of that. And, you get this not random, but it's just generic CVE. They look for signatures and whatnot. And part of my job is to triage that and say, hey, which is actual real critical? Because 0 days come out every day. Everything is a critical, everything's a high. But understanding how network intrusion works, reverse shells, not just let me take a step back, not just the exploit packages of reverse shells and whatnot, but actually understanding the networking behind it. Shout out to Tinker who made me take my Windows machine, put Linux on it. So I got to know ins and out of Linux and then putting Parrot OS on it and whatnot, and then doing those exploits, hacking those boxes. And then, you kind of do a Hail Mary sometimes, but understanding how the boxes work, pivoting, how people can pivot. And then, of course, we deal in the age of ransomware, which acts the same way. Um, Perfect example, understanding how it works and how it helps on the defensive side. Sometimes you can get an alert, somebody's trying to send an embedded link, and then what they'll do is once they get inside of the user, they're going to try to pivot and get you another back door. You hear it, but you need to know how it's done. And doing that is actually going through your course and doing that from the network testing side as well as the application side. Now, also too, now I'm in management. I adopted, like I said, this purple team mindset. You know, everybody now has a phishing email campaign. There's automated tools. People are using, hey, which tool are you use the best and whatnot. But I think for a compliance standpoint, yeah, you do it for compliance, just like you do a third-party pen test. No matter if you're in the financial, the HIPAA, automotive space, always got a third-party pen test, and that's just to satisfy compliance. My goal now is to have more tabletop exercises, or I try to address my concern or advocate for tabletop exercises over phishing email campaigns because humans, as we do, we just adapt. So people just randomly click yes, 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 yes. Okay, this looks like phishing, blam. But if you actually have uh, like a simulator, a tabletop exercise where you run through, people actually learn. Then also too, from a red team, blue team, for companies that are bigger who have their own red team, we want you to exploit this network and have your blue team ready to see if they can see it. And if they can't see it, okay, what do I need to do to see it? And if I am seeing it, then we are already, we're golden. But I think that is more important than just a red team third party compliance. If that makes sense. So my goal is now as the management is to advocate for that, advocate for my employees, and then train those employees and those cross-functional platforms owners on like tabletop exercises. Oh, I've been talking a lot.
That's okay. It's a good stuff. That's great, but it's a really, I hear a company doing tabletop exercises, but I think it's kind of good to have someone running those that understands the offensive
You
security
have to.
mindset
You have to. Yeah.
because too many cases, I don't know what your experience is, but just my experience over the years is a lot of people don't take that stuff serious enough, the offensive security stuff. They don't take pen tests serious
Mm-mm.
enough. Sometimes it's just the compliance checkbox and they really don't think about getting the most out of it.
No, you're absolutely correct. So it's kind of like a gamer's mindset. Gamers will game for hours. Why? Just to explore, just to see what somebody else hasn't seen, or to level up. Like, it's not just winning the game, but how good you win the game. When you're doing just regular, even sometimes tabletops, it can be kind of boring. But if you simulate, if you actually show your tools, that the person who was the owner of the tool or looking at the tool, somebody like me, for instance, responds, you can make those rules that need to be made. You can see where you're deficient, and then you go ahead and fill that gap. Then also too, from another aspect, which I'll be talking on at a conference later this next month, sorry, is people with learning disabilities. Everybody learns differently. I hate to say learning disability. People learn different. There's like a theory of 8 levels of intelligence, and some people can read a book, pick it up, whatnot. Some people need to go to YouTube and visual it. Some people just need to be hands-on. What if you have dyslexia? What if you have HDAD? So ADHD, a little bit of dyslexia right there. That's funny. Um, so getting immersed in doing these purple team exercises can help somebody with those challenges. And now they realize, hey, okay, I need to look for this, I need to do that. And then also too, the military do war games all the time, just so they can be prepared in case what scenario happens, and they know how to act because it's all muscle memory. You don't do what you know, you do what you practice. So if you practice it wrong, you're gonna do it wrong.
Yeah, that's some good points there. It's kind of, and I do like the fact that you brought up that people learn differently.
Mm.
And I know this is kind of a totally different subject outside of this, but I'd really like to see the school systems, K through 12 and even college level, figure out ways to educate people based on the way they learn best, because it's really sad that people K through 12, they go to school, there's one way of learning and that's it. You're stuck in it. If it works for you, great. If it doesn't, then you kind of fall behind.
Out to that point, because I do have small kids, they do that in preschool. It's called the Montessori program. They don't hold the kid back, and everybody knows differently. But you're right. Especially in today's AI world, why aren't we using it to make sure everyone learns the best way that they can? But to add into our industry, if I do, until I took your course, Offensive Security, everything I knew was theory. In theory, this tool is supposed to work this way and pick this up. But once you go and look at the hacker side, bad actor. I don't want Dallas hackers to come after me. Hacking is not a crime. But once you actually look like how an attacker actually targets you, actually infiltrates you, how they pivot in the system, how they're patient, because it is not like the movies. Somebody does not hack into your computer in 30 minutes or less. It's not dominoes. The theory, I mean the practicality of just patiently waiting over and over and trying, like stealing passwords, pass the hash, which tools are working best. Until you understand that, until you do it, you fully don't understand it. So always have, I personally say, always have somebody who does red team or purple team lead those tabletop exercises.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. One of the things I've kind of seen over the years too with the phishing campaigns is I think that sometimes a weakness is not using a payload in the phishing campaigns, because a lot of cases what happens when you don't have a payload, you don't know what happened if someone clicks on that link, that malicious link. So you don't really know what happens past that, and you're just really testing security awareness.
That's it. That's it. You don't know what happens. And the thing is, like, containment. You need to practice that, but how do you practice that? You don't practice that in a live situation. Like, yo, I need to contain this machine, which there are some good tools out there that actually does great containment. They're not paying me, so I won't mention them.
So with like you being a manager and people leader, so kind of how do you kind of guide your direct reports based on what you've learned from offensive security?
So for incident response, first of all, I advocate for yearly training just because I always was on that other side where I wanted it and I couldn't get it, so I had to do whatever was free or cost effective. So I try to make the case for my team to do the training, whether it be cloud training, whether it be do SANS training, which SANS, but something like that, but also to triaging, understanding the vulnerability. If they could, I always say, if you got a spare laptop, do what I did. Put Parrot OS on there. Learn Burp Suite. You got to validate because you need to validate your third party team. Just because you companies pay for these vendors to come in doesn't necessarily mean they will, and not to say they won't, but you need to validate and know what they're actually saying. You need to know that your tool is actually picking up misconfigurations, or maybe somebody's hard keying their password in the browser. Yeah, it's still, yeah. So that mindset and that experience always makes me teach my direct reports. This is what to look for. Like there was the saying is validate, but wait, don't trust but validate. I always say don't trust until you validate. So you don't, and you can't validate if you spend your whole life on the blue side of stuff, always relying on the tools. Because you and I know, even with AI, when everybody thinks AI is end all be all, the tools can be wrong. I can't preach enough. Those 2 semesters of going to your class has helped me focus on understanding how exploits are broken. Vendor, if you're GRC and you're doing vendor assessments, third party assessments, understanding the risk. If a company is not doing what they need to be done, and based off of understanding how exploits are done, giving them a grading, and you'll get much better accuracy with your own grading. How you give them low, medium, high by understanding offensive security practices and what tools out there. Again, AI tools. So now people are using AI, sorry, to create payloads, malicious payloads, and to do software designing of that. Yes, if you don't know code, then it could give you a blueprint, but it's not necessarily going to work because you need to know the libraries and the dependencies and all of that. But also too, from an offensive mindset, if you've never taken a course of doing offensive security, AI is not going to help you be a better pen tester or be a magic pen tester, which you with no knowledge. You probably forgot more than what AI knows on how to pen test certain environments, certain tools. You pick up the trade. Like this, it's the art to the science. You have to know it and you have to do it. Otherwise, you're just trying to do theory, and then if you're trying to use AI, it's never going to work. It's like cheating off a C plus student. Your grade is never going to be higher than theirs.
That's some good points, because AI is really only as good as what you feed it.
That's
So if you
right.
don't understand enough about it, the output you get is not going to be that good. And it's just, yeah. So I like to use it a lot for, writing
Report.
summaries and stuff for
Yeah.
podcast episodes and use it for other writing. But you have to understand what you're talking about because there's times AI gets it wrong.
Oh, there's a plenty of times I don't care which one you're using, which up to date. They will always get something wrong. And don't tell me about your prompt. I understand about prompt engineering. I'm clearly learning about it, but man, it was like what, a year and a half ago. Microsoft came out during the conferences talking about how they tricked AI to do stuff it's not supposed to do, how to exploit yourself, how to give out the codes, the keys to the kingdom. I was like, it happens, and so you have to know how it's done. You have to know. Prompt injections. How about the firewalls in between the actual interface, the UI and the LLM? You need to know how to get past that. So until you do it, it's all theory.
So speaking of AI, is AI help you and your team
Hmm.
with your day-to-day operations?
So, point in. So first and foremost, there's a lot of tools for triage because you don't want to get, alert fatigue. I will say that there's a lot of alerts that it does triage. Hey, this is not critical. And if you never woke up, and this is the thing, you never woke up at midnight, 2 a.m., 3 a.m. to your phone going off, then you don't understand what incident response is. So having AI be able to triage those alerts that are not, those false positives helps dramatically. Now you have to tune. Yeah, you have to tune. It has helped dramatically. From a GRC standpoint, having those templates, being able to optimize, your writings when you update the templates, it has worked tremendous on that part. But those are all the data that you feed it internally. It's not actually going to create something new, but it'll take what you have and optimize it. So, which that is great. It saves you time to do other things. And then AI also use it at work, but also in school. You can use it as a tutor. You know, that's one thing I preach to these middle school and high schoolers. Use it as a tool or in college. If you want to learn how to code, you want to math or whatnot, you know, ask it, hey, give it your background. This is what I want to do. I want to be in cybersecurity. What is the best routes? What do I need to learn? Which tools can you help me with? And then, if I got a program, a script, teach me Python. And then feed it your programs and see what it tells you if you're right or you're wrong or how you can make it better. So AI is a double-bladed sword. It works, but you have to have the knowledge to do great things.
Very cool. So what's kind of your view? You've been in security now for a while. Do you feel like companies are starting to get things right, or you think they're still?
From a security mindset, and I'm pretty sure everybody in security is going to agree with me on this. From that point of view, from that limited cybersecurity point of view, companies will never get it right. That being said, because our mindset, we're paranoid. Hey, it's technical. There's more aspects to the business than hey, this could be majorly bad if it happens. Money involved, there's business involved. You have to take all that and then weigh that into options for them, like making the right calls, which is hard. Companies do try. Now, I will say this: the average, I would say, it's probably the startups who are a little bit more right now security focused than the giants that are already made. And I'll say this because why? We're looking at the giants right now with AI. They're not getting it right from a security standpoint. They're going for speed. They're going for speed. They're trying to do everything they can to be the first ones for whatever pot of gold that they think is on the end of the AI rainbow that they're going to get, and they're sacrificing security left and right. We don't. We're testing AI to figure out what it doesn't know that we know, but we're not testing AI, or is there a way to test AI to figure out what we don't know that it knows? So it's that on that standpoint, no, the big companies are not getting it right. The smaller companies are using a little bit more caution. They're using it to do the grunt work. So I will agree with that on that part.
Yeah, it's just always kind of interesting to see because some of the experiences I've had. One of my biggest frustration over the years, biggest pet peeves, I guess, is risk acceptance.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Because like one of my favorite all-time hacks was when I was working for another consulting company. From the internet, I was able to do SQL injection, get command line access, dump the password hash, crack the password hash, gain access to that system from the internet, and they filed a risk acceptance because it was a development server.
Right. Okay. So the first thing is this is, from my standpoint, everything you said, I understand. So my first goal is, was it not like the environment section off development stage prod? Where was the MFA? What firewall laws was in there? What was the SIM2 alerting like? So if I didn't take your course, I would have no idea what you just said. I would have no idea what you just said. And then, are they using real data in the dev department? Who has admin controls in dev? Like, so this is stuff that I think about. But if you don't do this, if you don't try this, if you don't take a course, everything you said just went over somebody's head.
Yeah, I really think there needs to be some training out there for people that don't necessarily want to be pen testers or work in offensive security. A class where you can go through, give us some high-level overviews of attacks, have some simulations in class to show how easy some of the stuff is and what's possible.
Somebody told me there was a tool out there, and I have to connect with the owner. Her name is Angel Mosley, I think. That she might have a tool like that. I don't know. But I'm gonna reach out to her again because that's my thing now. Like, what training is evolved because of AI. Let's let the red team person build out the situation. Let the blue teamers react. So
we're getting down towards the end of the episode. How can people reach out to you if they want to connect?
So LinkedIn, please reach out on LinkedIn. Christopher Marks. I'll be the good-looking brother in a shirt and tie with a jacket on.
He usually is not smiling though. No, he's usually not smiling.
Not at all.
That's just the pictures, I guess.
That's the best way to reach me. I'm thinking about updating my social media presence for more of a business aspect, but that's the best way, especially with questions. You can always email me, chrismarks@cmarksgroup.com. That's what I have my mentees email me at. So if you have any questions, anything like that, please let me know. I actually help people just to help them, just like Phil. If it wasn't for people like Phil, there wouldn't be people like me. So, back to our origin stories, you were the first person to actually talk to me at, Dallas Hackers. That led to me knowing a lot of people in this industry, going to DC 214. I still haven't made it to DC 940, which is down the street. I've been to the North Texas Cybersecurity Group when Brian had it, and that was pretty cool. But I'm getting back out there. But now, because I'm in management, I tend to do like the management meetups, just simply because I want to see what's out there, and then I bring back whatever I know to my team. Because my main goal is to coach them up. Maybe they want to be an architect, maybe they want to be a manager, maybe they want to grow. So to me, that's a sign of a good manager. I've had good managers and terrible ones.
Yes, that's awesome. Congrats on all your success.
Thank you.
Been great to watch you and great to see you paying it forward with all your help, helping others and mentoring.
Yeah, so many people have helped me. There's no way I could pay it back. So pay it forward. That's the only thing you can do.
Well, thanks again for joining me, and I appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule.
No problem, man. I appreciate the call.
Yeah, thanks everyone, and we'll be sharing Chris's LinkedIn and contact information in the show notes to make it easy to find. Please subscribe to the podcast and share with your friends. And until next time, take care.